For those of you who haven't seen it, we've done some beautiful limited edition boxes. We have had the vintage blush. We've also had, what was the other one called? Romantic Joy, I think it was. And now, of course, we've got our beautiful spring box, which makes 80 flowers. Your stems and leaves are included across 5 different varieties. I'm going to take you through those now. Good evening, Tracy. Hi, Roz. Hi, Nikki, Irene, Sophie. Hello, everyone. I've missed you all. It's been weeks and weeks and weeks since I've been on here. Hi, Christine. Up in Tyneside. I've been using my Forever Flowers with my craft group ladies, using them in a card. Oh, Christine, we would love to see pictures. Make sure you pop onto the Forever Flowers fans Facebook page and share those. We'd all love to see. Hello, Sarah. I'm from Germany and I love all the Forever Flowers. Now, I'm afraid, is it Hike? I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. Hi, Jane. Hi, Gail. I bought 3 sets of pansies, says Christine, and I loved them. Yes, pansies were our launch just before these. Okay, so can you buy the yellow rose separately? Not yet, I don't think. When I pop onto the website in a minute to show you where to go and get this from, remind me to have a little look. It's the Royal Rose. We did have some smaller retail packs of our Royal Roses, but I know that the lemon always sells out first, so we might have lost the stock of that. Hi, Linda. Hi, Sharon. Paula says, I bought the Romantic Joy box, just made up the flowers from it, going to make a large wreath. Well, that sounds lovely. I thought I would catch tonight while I'm recovering from 5th round of COVID. Laura, stay safe. I would have thought you'd had good immunity by now. Oh, I hope you're doing okay. I guess you're now a pro at self-care and trying to recover. Hi, Yvonne. Lovely to have a show. Yes, so 5 flowers to show you. Forever Flowers box. I'm going to do a complete unboxing so that you can see everything that's in it, and then we'll make them up. Once I've shown you what's in it, I'll show you where to go and get it. So you've got the beautiful packaging. The box is actually decorated all the way around, so keep that for storage afterwards. Joanne, the name of the large rose is the Royal Rose, which is the yellow one in this set, which is the one that everybody loves. We are making, God guys, you can tell I haven't done this very well. I'm jumping around all over the place. So we've got the yellow Royal Rose, which is, the Romantic Roses are slightly smaller and wider. The Royal is more like a bud. So we've got the yellow Royal Rose, we've got the gorgeous gerbera, we've got the majestic carnations, we've got the cute camellias, I love these little pom-poms, and we've got the chic chrysanthemums. So that's everything that we're going to make, and of course you get all of your components inside. So you will get full step-by-step instructions. It's this beautiful pamphlet which has all of your materials listed, of course, including your stems and your foliage. And then you have everything to make your camellia, your gerbera, your chrysanthemum, your carnation, and of course your rose. So full step-by-step instructions. And then we've got all the goodies. So these are all of the components. There are 5 petals that will make up your yellow roses. And then including the base leaves as well. So that's everything for your roses. You've got your petals for your chrysanthemums, 3 sizes of petals in that beautiful purple for your carnation, the petals for the camellia. Already we've got hundreds and hundreds. Your 2 sizes for the gerberas. And then, of course, all of the components that are going to hold those together. So, of course, you've got your pollen centres for the gerberas, the end caps for the carnations, 4 different sizes of your basket caps, and you'll see that when you get them, everything is really clearly labelled. So there's 50 pieces in here of item 11. So when it comes to your instructions, you know exactly which item and what size and what component to use for which flowers. So you've got absolutely everything, which is a beautiful tester pack for 5 different varieties of flowers. So already that saved you buying 5 different kits. Then you've got your stems. Now you've got the florist stems. You've got 50 in here. So this is going to be used for your chrysanthemums and your camellias. And they're fantastic. And actually when I was using them, I cut them down as well because I made small arrangements with my chrysanthemums and camellias. So I actually even ended up splitting those into 3. You've also then got your premium stems. Now these are for your roses and your carnations. So they've got little connectors down the stem to attach your foliage onto. That will be our roses and our carnations. Then you've got the beautiful flocked stems for your gerberas. I love these. And then you've got two different types of foliage as well. 40 pieces of your larger clusters, which go onto your florist stems, and 40 pieces, which will be two sets on each one of your connectors for your roses and your carnations. So that's everything that you get included. Now, I've spilled all of this out onto my desk so that I can show you exactly how to make them. And they are incredibly easy. But before I show you how to make them, I'm going to show you how to go and order on the website, because I know lots of you will be keen. And I don't actually know how much stock we've got of this evening. It is limited edition. We did sell a lot on TV last week. I know that we've kept you quite a good stock though, but I will show you where to go and get it. Nikki says, really hoping they'll still be around on payday next weekend. Just a few more days to go. I'm sure there will be. Laura says, these look really nice, but a complete beginner is everything you need in the box. For a beginner, yes, Laura, it is. This is such a good kit for you. Like I said, I will actually give you 5 different varieties of flowers, and I'll show you some of the bouquets that I've made up. You can do them as beautiful mixes where I've got all of the flowers in, but then I've also got a stem, a vase with only the roses on stems and only the gerberas, so you can break it down into beautiful collections as well. It doesn't all have to be used as one, because you've got 80 flowers. I would say that would give you at least 7 arrangements. You could do maybe 5 and a wreath or something like that as well if you added in a wreath base. The yellow roses are Paula's favourite. Oh, Sharon says, we've missed you and Naomi doing Facebook Lives. Telly has kept us busy. But we do have some really exciting things coming up, so there will be lots more. That's exactly it, Paula. Yes, you get absolutely everything. Okay, so for the likes of Laura and everybody else, let's hop on to the website. So you need to head over to craftbuddyshop.com. That is your place to go for everything. So you've got Forever Flowers, Crystal Art, and of course all of our paper crafting range as well. New arrivals is always the place to go to see what's launching, especially on days like these. We do have, you may have seen Naomi shows last week. I had a lovely few days off. With the gifting wallets, we had those as well. But here, of course, we've got the Forever Flowers limited edition spring box. So here you can see all of the flowers that it makes. I'm going to show you them all nice and close up too. Camellias, chrysanthemums, your roses, the gerberas, and of course the carnations. And a full list of absolutely everything. So all of this stuff that I just unboxed, it's all in here, including, I missed out the most important thing, your wooden tool as well, which is everything you need. So this is an amazing price. There's £15 saving, so it is $34.99, and that will give you either some of our best-selling flowers or a taster and starter kit for absolutely everything. Odd question, are these suitable for grave and are they waterproof? Laura, not odd at all. It's the one, that is the one question I get asked the very most. And here's the place to tell you. So yes, they can go on your gravesides, outside, in your cemeteries as memorial wreaths and displays. Check out the website for our value vases. I'll bring some of these over in a moment. Our value vases are plastic. So if they do get knocked over in the wind, you can put some pebbles or some sand in the bottom to weigh them down, but they're also shatterproof. So your flowers, they will need to be protected from water and UV. So I use the Rust-Oleum Crystal Clear. Now you can get that in the likes of B&Q, Homebase, Wix, all of those. I order it on Amazon as well. They do 2 different finishes. One is gloss and one is matte. I prefer the matte. The gloss does give you, as the name would suggest, a bit of a shiny finish to them, which I think makes them look even more artificial. They don't look artificial when they're made, so it's a shame to add that layer to it. So I always use the matte. So for example, if you were going to make a display like this and you wanted to put it outside as a memorial, then make your arrangement, pop it in the vase, weigh it down with your sand or your pebbles, pop everything in and then spray it all over. and then turn it around, spray the other side, turn it upside down, spray underneath a little bit, over the top, so just make sure that it seeps in. So many of you have said that you've left pieces out there for months and months and months and gone to pick them up and they look just as good as the day you took them. So it's a really beautiful way, if you can't maintain fresh flowers, to be able to make sure that they're always looking beautiful, and then you don't have that guilt of not being able to change them and take care of them all the time. Linda says, perfect example. I put a wreath on my father's grave 23rd of December last year and it's still okay now. Lovely. Isn't that so lovely? So then you just constantly know that it's looking beautiful and that you've got that lovely care there as well. So it's Rust-Oleum. So it's Rustolum, I think. Rust-Oleum. So they are a paint brand. They do lots of spray paints. It comes in a spray can. So Rust-Oleum Crystal Clear. I also know that lots of other people have used, evening Barbara, lots of other people have used like waterproof spray for clothing, for like your outdoor anoraks, for your walking boots, for your tents. If you type in like waterproof spray on Amazon, then lots will come up. But the Rust-Oleum is the only one that I've used. So of course that is my highly recommended one. Rosemary says, my mums are absolutely gorgeous. Amazing. Okay, so now I've told you where to get them, how to make it all. Let's have a little look-sees. So I'm going to start off with the really nice simple flowers first of all. We'll go for our camellias and our chrysanthemums. Now the tool that you get included is the wooden handle tool. So really nice ergonomic design, soft, easy to hold, and then of course you have the spike. Now because a lot of our flowers are quite tightly clustered together, I always add on a stopper stem. If you've got any of our limited edition tools or our premium tools, they actually have a stepper halfway up the stem anyway, so you don't need to worry about this. But I do this because it's just giving me a smaller surface area for the middle of my flowers. So the base is quite wide, so just by doing that I've got a much smaller tip to build my flowers inside out on. So let's go for my utter favourites, the camellias first of all. Absolutely love these. And if you love your camellias, in a few weeks' time, we've got some giant camellias coming. Super exciting, can't wait for those. So of course your petals are all going to come condensed down. Your pack actually contains 160 petals. So I've just ruffled those on the edge of my fingers. I hold them all together and just give it a little ruffle. That's just going to make it easy. Yeah, see Barbara says she uses tent spray. Perfect. Anything that's going to offer it a waterproof coating is going to be perfect. If you go onto the Forever Flowers fans Facebook page, Forever Flowers fans Facebook, yes, then lots of people will also pop up their links and everything and recommendations. The Rust-Oleum one, like I said, is the only one that I personally have used, which is why I recommend that one. Okay, so separating them out, just make sure that you get individual petals, and we need 8 of our petals for one camellia. And then we're going to use our smaller stems and also our smallest little basket caps. I can see I've got 2 here. Long nails come in quite handy when it comes to things like that. I'm going to pop those in. So this is your letter K, 160 pieces in there. I'm also going to use our smaller stem. You've got 60 of them included in here. So it's going to last you a long, long time. And then also our smaller basket caps. I don't think I even took out all of my caps, did I? Naughty. Oh yes, here we go. I was in the middle of emptying everything out, and the dogs kept on coming in and interrupting me because they couldn't figure out why I wasn't sitting down and giving them fuss and attention. So I had to go and settle them, and then I just lost time. So the smallest of the caps, we've got 50 of them in here, item 11, like I showed you earlier as well. And then the smallest little base caps, of which you've got 50. and that's going to hold all of our flower together. We don't even need any glue for them. Debbie says, just ordered mine. My finger slipped and they fell into my basket. Whoopsie. Did anything else slip into there as well? So we're going to add on our stem. So that's in addition to the stopper stem that I put on first of all. Now the camellia flowers, sneaky little one in there. The camellia flowers need to be really frilly. So we're going to pop one face down first of all. So you can see that they've got a lovely little dome on the inside of the petals. Nice dome on the inside. The petals almost like fold out. So we're going face down with our first one, but I'm going to go face up with the second. And by alternating the direction of them like that, face down and face up, you're going to get a fuller, frillier flower. If they were all facing in the same direction, it just looks a little one-dimensional. It will still create a beautiful flower, but this is how to get a really effective finish. Then we're going to push that cap on so it clusters together all of that flower. And I'm going to use up the remaining petals just by alternating up and down, up and down. And this is fully detailed in your step-by-step instructions as well, which I will also show you. And then we secure with the cap on the end. So I push my left hand in towards my right, nice little bit of pressure. And we're going to take off that stopper stem in the centre, and I'm just going to give it a little frill just to hide any of that cap. And look at that beautiful dimensional little pom-pom flowers. And then this is the stem that is modular to all of our Forever Flowers accessories. So all the stems that are included in this set, so I'll show you how to turn that into a flower now. But also if you wanted to make things like a wreath or a garland, you can add that on as well. So here is the really simple instructions that I followed. So you've got your picture of the tool, the stem to use. So you see that that says number 6. That's how you know that you've got the correct component, because all of your items, so this is 60 pieces of number 6. So it's how you know you've got the right size stem. Letter K is the petal. Number 3, I think that says. Oh no, 11, sorry, yes. As your small cap. So you quite simply just follow the flow chart, and you've also even got on there that alternating them front to back will give you a fuller flower as well. So that's our carnation. Now we've got the floristry stems included. So it's the nice thin ones for the smaller flowers, but the larger clusters of our leaves. So you're going to get 40 of these clusters in there as well. Now it's 3 leaves per cluster, and this hole through the centre will fit directly onto the stem. So we can pop that on first of all, and then add your flower onto the top, like so. And then you can move that up as high as you want to the flower itself. You can move it further down for that little bit more coverage. You can bend and shape and mould and manipulate those stems if you've got wire cutters. You can also trim them down for your vases or your oasis. So that's how we make our lovely camellia. And we're going to do the same for the chrysanthemum. So chrysanthemum is just at the bottom here. I'll unfold it for you in a moment. So we're going for petal J and the same component. So it's stem number 6 and cap number 11 and base cap number 12. So again, we'll go for all of these. What I tend to do is if you leave one item in your bag, I mean, I'm getting in a bit of a mess here because I've got it all spilled out everywhere, but these I only make a couple of flowers and they go straight back into my show box for demonstrations. But when I'm making sets, you can put them into little containers, leave either a little sticker on the container so you know what it is, or leave one item in the bag and then you can easily distinguish what letter to marry it up to. And then you've got your beautiful leaves for your chrysanthemums. So 240 petals of letter J in here. And we're going to go for 8 as well. So ruffling up on the edge of your hand, just making it slightly easier because it will separate them that little bit more, which makes it easier to then pull them apart. They're paper fine, but it is fabric. So they really are quite hardy. Lots of people also use like a little rubber thimble, or if you've got like a little wet sponge, you can just keep wetting your finger to separate them out. So we'll go for 8 of these. And you can see I just finger and thumb rubbing against them, I can even tell I've still got 2 there as well. Separating those out, and there's my 8. Pop those back in there to keep organised. And then, sorry, I've left my phone buzzing away. Stopper stem in the centre, stem on top. And we're going to do the same thing again. So dome shape down is the first one. Second one is up. And actually I can feel sneaky little petals. I've got an extra one in there. Once you've felt how fine one is, and you can almost see through these, once you've felt how fine one is, you actually know just by picking it up if you've got a couple. It's not a problem if you lose a couple within. It may just affect the amount that you can get out of your set, which is why we always say approximately. But also, this would still look just as good even if I had 7 petals in it as opposed to 8. So you should still be able to get the full amount. And of course, white is a complete blank canvas as well. So you can colour these if you've got alcohol sprays and inks and dyes, ink pads, anything like that will work brilliantly. Removing that stopper stem from the centre, and there is your chrysanthemum, just a little ruffle up to hide any of those components, and you've got a really beautiful flower. Now, if you wanted to colour this, you could either make it completely like this and then spray, or you could take your ink pad now, give it a little ruffle along the edges, which would give that a bit of a different colour. If I bring in this tray quickly, this is from a Facebook Live we did not so long ago, where we were using alcohol inks to colour our white flowers. So all of these began life as a white flower. We used our watercolour sprays, we used our glimmer sprays. What else did we use? Bit of leftover macrame thread, bit more glimmer spray. So there's lots of different things that you can do. So this is our largest chrysanthemum, but it started life exactly the same as the white. So if you're going for something like a white flower, then of course you could take that down any colour palette. You could mix it in with some of your other flowers so that it matched really beautifully. So they're very amenable to whatever display and colour you would like to make. So there's your chrysanthemum. We're going to finish that off in exactly the same way as well with our florist stem and our larger leaf cluster, so straight through the middle. If you were going to use these for things like hair grips, corsages, brooches, paper crafting projects, you can cut these leaves down so that you maybe only had 1 or 2. Maybe glue them together a little bit tighter together. But straight onto the stems, it's just so simple, and the work is all done for you. So there we've got 2. And because these leaves give you a wider coverage, you use those to hide the stems as well. Would you recommend spraying a wreath made to hang on your front door? Yes, I would, definitely. Depends if you've got a porch. It depends if your front door is exposed, so therefore it's going to get the rain as it falls. If you've got like a little porch or a little arch, little roof over it, then maybe not so much. But I would definitely recommend a spray just to prolong the life of it. To be honest, I've had wreaths that have stayed outside for months, and they've been in the wind and the rain and probably even a bit of frosty snow around Christmas time, and I have never waterproof sprayed them. But to make sure that yours are prolonged, it's up to you, isn't it? It's the risk of putting it out there, and might it fade? Might it get a little mildewy? Possibly. So just to be sure, we would say a waterproof spray will of course keep it pristine. Of course they are all fabric, so it's just making sure that if you're taking the time and the money to make something, that it's not going to get ruined, especially if you're selling your pieces as well. I think that's always a good selling point, isn't it? If you can say, pop it outside, it's all waterproofed. Okay, so let's go for our gerbera next. So up at the top of your instructions, we've got these beautiful faux pollen centres. We're going to need 4 of our smaller petals and 3 of our larger to make our gorgeous gerbera. So we'll go for 4 of our smaller petals. And once you've made 1 or 2, you can use, of course, your flowchart as your little cheat sheet, that little reference. Once you've made a couple, you know exactly what you're doing. But to be honest, so that I can either watch the telly or talk to your family. If you lay it out in exactly the right way, then you know you can just make them so simply and easily. And then we just need 3 of our larger petals. You can tell this was my TV demo one because I've already separated some of them out. 3 of my large ones, and these have such a beautiful, almost satin sheen to them. And it's got slightly paler pinks just dotted around those petals so that you get a really beautiful colour. It's not a flat colour. And slightly different component. So we're going to use component I, which is the faux pollen centre. You've got 10 of them in here because we're only going to use them for our gerberas, of which, of course, you can make 10 within your set. And then the larger end caps, item 2 within the packs. And these are fabulous because these have longer spikes. So you can see the size difference between the smaller caps that we were using. Quite a sizable difference. These longer spokes around the outside are going to give us some lovely texture in our flowers. So we're going to take our faux pollen centre, and every single one is slightly different. So again, it's just giving it that lovely natural finish. And we're going to thread them straight on. So I don't even need the tool for this one. They're just going to go straight on. What I do like to do is make sure that as I'm adding in my petals, so I've gone up to the larger one here, so 2 small, 1 large, back down to small, which actually gets sandwiched in between 2 big ones. So you might be thinking, well, what's the point? You're not going to see it. But what it will do is give us layers and textures once the flower is completed. So it will help to give it that lovely finish. And just so that my larger petals aren't all lined up in the same direction, I just like to make sure that I just give a little twist, a little rotate, so that my petals sit beautifully clustered together rather than flat on top of each other. We take the last end cap and push that on. And what you'll see is that as I push this up, those larger spokes just push out some of those petals. And you can see that those smaller ones in the centre, sandwiched in between the large ones, just give you a lovely bit of detail. And there is your gerbera. For example, I've obviously picked them up in the same direction. So I've got lighter flecks all the way through all 3 of those large petals, which could make it look really natural. You can see that part of the flower has that colour. If you wanted it to be different, just grab hold of those 2 larger petals. I'm not even taking it apart. Just grab hold of them and rotate it around. So now I've moved that white fleck away from the others, and I could do the same at the bottom as well. So I'm just holding on to those 2 larger ones, giving it a little rotation, and now that texture runs all the way through as opposed to sat directly on top of each other. It's such a small minor detail, but if you're looking at it and thinking, well, it's not quite right, I would like it to look a little bit different, then you don't even have to take them apart. You can just give them a little twizzle. Now the gerbera, I've got a little bit of glue on there that I'm just going to pick off. The gerbera stem is beautifully flocked. So if a flower needs a specific stem, we always include them in the kits because again, it's that realistic finish. So you can see that I've got the floristry wire sticking out at the top, and I'm just going to pop that onto here. So I've got a slight bit of plastic just on that stem. I'm just going to bend that back. That floristry stem will go straight into the flower, and then you can push the flocked coating up and over. So that will then just give me a seamless finish on my flower. And what I like to do with the gerberas, so that they're not so straight, I just like to give them a little bit of like a natural twist and a bend, just so that they're not quite so rigid. And of course that's going to make it look even more realistic. And I'll bring in some of the vases in a moment to show you the displays. So that's 3. So we've got our chrysanthemum, our camellia, and our gerbera. Let's go for the carnation. It's quite similar to the gerbera in terms of the setup. We've got 3 different sizes of petals now. So it's all particularly the same setup. Again, really simple instructions and flowcharts to follow. So once you get to grips with making one flower, it's super easy to make the rest. We're going to go for 3 of our smallest petals. And because these aren't quite so condensed down, I don't even bother ruffling these ones. I can just pick them apart very simply. We're going to go for 3 of our smaller petals. I also like to, when I get these kits and I'm sitting kind of batch making, which I know lots of you do, and when it comes to batch making, I know lots of you have bags of flowers that look like this. You like to just sit and make the flowers, not even for a particular make. And then, of course, you've got them made and ready to go when it does come to making a wreath or an arrangement. If you're going to do something like that, I would take all of my petals out and I would individually separate them all and leave them in a little bowl or in a little vase. With the medium and large carnation petals, I don't rub them in the middle because you can see I've got really fine stems of the petal, so I always do it on the outside edges just because I've got that little bit more to hold on to and it's going to be a little bit more sturdy than rubbing together the centre. So I'm going to go for 2 of my medium, 3 of my small, which then just leaves 3 of my large petals. And again, all beautifully labelled. So you're going to make 10 of your carnations, so you've got 30 in your medium and your large. So again, just ruffling on those outside edges as opposed to the middle. So it will just give them a little bit more security when you're manhandling them. And we'll go for 3 of our large ones. But yeah, I'll have bowls and bowls of all my separated petals ready to go. And then we're going to go for slightly different components again. So item 4 is your longer stem, which is used for the carnations. And also, so you can see the size difference between the smaller stems and the carnation stems. If you get any that look like this, you can see I've got like a little bit of the coating around the outside. You can normally just pull that straight off or use a pair of scissors just to snip that. But all your petals will go on there perfectly. It just folds back. It's just a little bit of the coating. Larger stem, and then also my larger end caps as well. Where are they? Let's use these ones. So a much bigger dome for the carnation because it is rather full. And again, it's just all those finishing touches. Sorry about all the rustling. It's those finishing touches that will make it look like a carnation, and you'll see exactly what I mean. So the size difference between the small and the large stem there, I'm still keeping that stopper stem on. And we're going to go with our smaller components in our petals. Now I also need a slightly larger basket for this one. So we're going up in size. This one is slightly more opened than the chrysanthemums and the camellias. So we're going to go 2 of our petals face down, and where I've got a gap in between the petals that I've just added, so you can see in between these petals here, I'm going to overlay it so that the petal fills that gap and hole. So again, it just stops them being so directly on top of each other, will give you a much more natural finish. The cap will go on and cluster them together. We'll go on with our smallest, and then I'm just going to use all the remaining petals. So again, where I've got a gap in between them, I will overlay a petal into that gap, and then I hold it in place with my finger. So I've got my tool and I'll hold the petal in place, because otherwise as soon as I let go they will move. So each time I just bring my finger over the top, which will hold that into place, and then we take the really large cap, we pop them on, and you can see there that when I push this in, it will ruffle together all of those petals and give us that gorgeous shape of a carnation. Again, just removing that stopper stem from the centre. Undeniably a carnation, isn't it? If you can ever see the stems through the centre, just give it a little ruffle. Adding that stopper stem will give you that tighter cluster, so it does really help. It's very rare that I would see a stem through flowers that I've made if I've got that stopper stem on. And then you can use the premium stems. So the premium stems will allow you to add on your foliage at various different heights along the stems. So we're going to use the different foliage for this as well because it's got a slightly different connector. So it's still a triple leaf stem, but it's got a connector on the bottom as opposed to the holes. So I like to alternate the direction of the stems as I'm using them as well. So for example, this one, I will pop my foliage onto the top. I'll add on my carnation. Now the carnation does have that particularly long stem, which we need for all of the petals in that bigger cap. But then sometimes I do find that when I'm pushing them onto my stems, I still have some of that head exposed. Move it against my jumper so you can see. So all I would do on the carnations, let me see if I have a pair of scissors to hand. I'll use my wire cutters instead. You could just trim a little bit off. So trim a small amount off, and I'm just using my jewellery cutters, and that will allow you to get that carnation head right up close to the petal. So again, it's just a nice little finishing touch. You're not taking away from the flower at all. And then of course, a little nudge just to direct that flower. Isn't it beautiful? So if I was making an arrangement, the next time I make a flower, I will make sure that the leaf connector is to the left. I'll add on that petal. Add on my flower. I haven't trimmed this one down, so I'm just going to push it on as far as I can. Bring that slightly forward. And when you're adding that into a vase, it just gives you that little bit more fullness, because then I have a stem that's got a leaf off to the left and a leaf off to the right. Whereas if they look really uniformed, you can tell that it's kind of mass produced and therefore not natural. But that's a really nice way to make sure that you can get that little fullness, nice little finishing touch. Our carnations, and we've got one more flower to go, which is our beautiful rose. And I have just realised that my battery is running down and I haven't got my charger. We'll be okay. One more flower to go. No pressure. It's almost like the pressure of live TV here with time running out. Now with our roses, we have those beautiful 5 petals. Here we go. Like so. For those of you who follow me on social media, I quite often like to share a picture of the carnage that is my craft room once I finished one of these lives, because I've got quite a small desk that I do these on. So I just end up with stuff everywhere. So for our rose, and I've left the more intricate one to last, only because you get so many different shapes of petals to be able to use. It doesn't mean it's more difficult, it's just more intricate. So we've got petal F, which is our first one. G, which is our second. And again, just ruffling those. These petals also have a beautiful sort of mottled detail to the outside of them. And you can see just how easy they are to make. So we've got F, G, but you can just see H, I and J, I think it is. But you can just see there are a few more components. So we actually use different size caps all within the one flower. So petal F, petal G, we're going to go with 2 of petal H, which is our largest one. And again, just laying them out as per the instructions in the flow chart. And then we've got I, J and K, of which we just need 1. And there's such a small difference between them, but it will give us all of these beautiful layers to our bud when we are finished. So J and K, I very often struggle to distinguish the shape between them. I wouldn't say that it particularly affects the flower that much when you make them, but I'll show you. And this just shows you the detail that goes into developing these flowers. If I show you petal J, which has 3 petals pretty much the same shape, but petal K has a slight extra attention to the outside of the petal. So these are all pretty much the same, but it's that little bit smaller and wider. Did I put them on the right way around? Yes. So J is the slightly thinner one and K is the slightly wider one. Now we also have the base leaf to go on here, which is a beautiful pop of colour against the lemon. That will be our last element. We've got a lovely, again, different end cap, and this is why this is such a great starter kit, because it really shows you almost, in fact I think it does, show you every single component that we have with all of our forever flowers, and I think that's why it has been particularly popular. Now we're going to use our larger caps, also our medium caps. Guys, I'm going to show you the mess that this study has turned into, and then also our smaller ones. And do you know what makes me laugh is that when I finish, I'm probably just going to turn the lights off and shut the door, and I'll just deal with it all tomorrow. Now we've got again our stopper stem on, and we're going to build it on our small stems, but it's just creative mess, right? Creative, it's just creativity. So we're going to go with petal F, our first one, and we're going to add on our smallest cap. Now already I like to just make sure that none of those petals overlap, and already I've got a rose bud just by adding on one petal and one cap. Now if I was making this out of a different medium and I had to form and shape and mould and curl all of these petals, it would be such a timely process. So this really does make it incredibly simple, especially if you're doing things like maybe cake decorations. These are super quick to make. I'm going to add on my larger petal and the larger cap, and what the cap size is doing every time I add them on, it's just slightly opening up that flower, just giving me all those beautiful layers. And then we use the remaining petals, so I'm going with the larger one on the outside and then all the way down to my final three, like so. And I'm going to add on that base leaf for that gorgeous pop of colour and just that natural finish, and then the end cap. And there is, I mean, look at that, isn't it beautiful? Now, if you can see the cap inside, that little pop of green in there, I'm just going to grab the innermost petal. So just look directly into it and just see which one is the first layer of petal. So I'm holding on to the edge of that, and I'm going to hold on to the stem, and I'm going to twist my hands in the opposite direction. And that will close up the centre of your flower. You can even do it a little bit more, just to make sure that that's closed up, and then you lose that stem inside. If you're particularly worried about it, maybe if it's going onto like a wedding cake, you could put a little pop of glue inside and just close those petals over so that you wouldn't see it at all. But it's such a fine detail. It's just maybe if something was going to be facing directly onto you. Now again, just like with our carnation, we're going to add it onto the premium stem with, of course, that beautiful foliage. And these are also adaptable. You can bend it and twist it and shape it to face whatever direction you would like. I normally always give them a little tweak. And you will find that because they're fabric and they all come condensed down in the boxes, you might get some little folds, some little creases. So what you can do is just hold on to the vein at the back of the flower, because you don't want to pull the leaf off. And you can just run your finger. I use my finger. Some people even like to use the tool itself, just to, of course, make sure that you don't pierce the fabric. And then you can give it nice little natural finishes. You know, like if you were going to curl ribbon, you could do that. And I just do it with my finger, just to give it that nice little natural finish. And of course, you could do everyone slightly different. You also have the base connector. So there are 2 points on every flower to connect those on. Sometimes I make them up fully, and then when I'm putting them in the vase, if this one's too low, I'll take that one off. If you were selling them or posting them, you can also glue them on so that you know you've got a perfect finish. And there are all of your flowers. I'm going to bring in some of the vases to show you, because all of this came from one box. And I've still got 2 of my arrangements missing. So you can see the colours work so beautifully together. The chrysanthemums and the camellias are like little filler flowers. So I add in my main flowers first, always in odd numbers, so that you get that lovely centre colour. And then you can see here I've got 3 of my gerberas, I've got 3 of my carnations in there. So try and use odd numbers. It will give you that beautiful symmetry and centre point for your flowers. Although I think, oh no, I've got 5 roses in there. And then once I've added in my main flowers, I use the smaller filler flowers just to fill gaps and just to give it like that little pop of colour and maybe a bit of extra height if needed as well. So you've got all of these amazing colours. This one was my leftovers because I also wanted to get very pared back basic arrangements out of them as well. So beautiful. Again, this is everything apart from the roses, because I actually used all of those in here and my 5 remaining ones in the other arrangement. It's so simple but really effective. So things like this where the leaf is facing the wrong direction, and this is because these have been to the studio and back again, so they've travelled very well actually, but you can give those leaves a little tweak. You can give the stems a little tweak. I think it was facing the wrong direction because the flower is facing the wrong direction. There we go. But it looks beautiful and really simple just with those gorgeous colours. And then of course the gerberas, they look fabulous just on their own. Now if you are using, let me try and get these out. If you are going to reuse and reuse your flowers, put these in really well for exactly that reason. Rather than trimming the stems down, if you are going to quite possibly have this arrangement and then change it for something else later down the line, so you don't want to cut the stems, I've got a particularly tall vase here. If you wanted that height, so I've got different flowers, so I've got 2 flowers in here that are full stems, which sit in really beautifully. Oh, and I've also got, so that you can really secure them, I tend to, in my vases, in my pots, I'll use either, this is just recycling my packaging, you can either use bubble wrap. Once you're finished, you can use the bags that your bits and pieces come in within your kits. Pop a little bit of, in fact, I'll show you it without, and this is why I do it. It's just not so easy to get in and out. If I were to put these gerberas in this vase, it's not too bad, but really you should have about half the height again on top of your vases. So these were just a little bit low for me because by the time I bend it, you're not going to get much of that stem. By adding something in just to raise them up a little bit, you can see that I've given it that extra height, and that will really help. But also you can bend the stems down. So if you want to then have various different heights, take the base of the stem, bend it over and pop that in. And then I can change the direction of them, or change the height of them without actually cutting them. And then I can take them out and reuse them. But also it gives you that little bit more rigidity inside because it will just make them that little bit sturdier. So you can bend those down, and then of course once you're finished and maybe you've got a shorter vase that you want to put them in, you can straighten out those stems and they'll be good to go and good to be reused next time as well. And then you haven't cut anything, so of course it's not permanent. And there's your whole box, Yes, please email customer services. I will pop on the email address for you as well so that we can make sure that you get those missing petals sorted. Gail says, gorgeous colours, aren't they just beautiful? The pink and the yellow is just my favourite. Good evening, Naomi. Hello, hope you're well. Joy says, hi Sarah, how do you go about getting piece 7, which was missing in the box? Have you had yours missing as well? Email customer services and we'll make sure that we put the link in these for you because of course it does come from Create and Craft, so you would need to contact them first, but if you send us an email at customer services, we will see what we can do for you. Val, I contact Craft Buddy customer services. Sorry, I'm reading out loud. Yes, so if you email Create and Craft customer services, they will then email us. So it has to go through all the channels because of course they have your order number and your customer details. If you still struggle, please send me an email and I'll make sure I get it sorted for you. I actually met the lady who is in charge of customer services at Create and Craft last week, Tracy. She is a huge Forever Flowers fan. Had a really nice catch up with her. So of course customer services will help you as much as possible. But if you get stuck, let me know because I will be there in the building and I will hunt them down on Wednesday. In fact, I'm there Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So let me know your order numbers and I'll see what I can do. Sharon, I had gerbera components missing. I emailed Mina and she sorted out. The service from Craft Buddy is brilliant. Thank you so much, Sharon. And yes, Mina always gets a lot of love. She is fabulous. She is our little star of the office. Okay, so there's your whole box. I have put a link in the description to the video to go and get your Spring Joy limited edition box from the website. Just to remind you of that beautiful packaging. I've got a nice little collection of these growing. Oh, you're more than welcome, Jane. Thank you for joining us. Beautiful packaging, and of course they are becoming quite a collection. We may have some more coming in the most amazing colours, but I can't say too much. That was for tonight. Beautiful flowers. Thank you, Nikki. So lovely to have your company again this evening.